A historic moment right now in Zimbabwe. Chiwenga steps into the spotlight as questions about Mnangagwa's health and gold explode. Right, Zimbabwe triple pamzinda wevanhu kubva kuvanhu by public demand pano. Look me in the eye right now. Right. But no kuudzai. But no kuudzai Zimbabwe. When we tell you we are in the middle of the most consequential week in Zimbabwe's modern history. We are not using hyperbole for views. We are not dramatizing for engagement. We mean it with every fiber of our being. Because what is unfolding right now in real time is in the corridors of the State House and in the courts and in the streets and in the barracks and in the skies above Harare is a complete, total, irreversible reshaping of Zimbabwe's political landscape. And at the center of it all, two stories are colliding like freight trains. Story one, Emmerson Mnangagwa is gone, out of the country, surrounded by mystery, silence, and the smell of very expensive jet fuel at over $18,000 per hour of flight time. Story two, Constantino Chiwenga is here, sharp, present, public, and radiating every bit of the authority that the moment demands. Let's get into every single detail. Right. The image that changed the conversation, Chiwenga in public, right? For days, Zimbabwe had been watching and waiting. Where was Chiwenga? The man at the center of every political calculation, every factional whisper, every intelligence report right now. He had been conspicuously absent from public view since his return from his medical visits to Uganda and Singapore. And then, on the evening of May 14th, he appeared. General Constantino Chiwenga, Ndizura, sharp suit, Zimbabwe flag pin on his lapel, posture immaculate, energy commanding, walking into the official farewell dinner for outgoing Chief Justice Luke Malala, the man whose 40-year judicial career concluded at midnight that evening, and filling the room with the presence of a man who knows exactly who he is and exactly where he is going. Look at that image carefully, because while the president of Zimbabwe was somewhere between Moscow and Minsk on a luxury Boeing that cost the national treasury over $500,000, his vice president was here in Harare doing the work, representing the state at one of the most symbolically significant events of the political year, standing at the farewell of the Chief Justice who, for better or worse, defined an era of Zimbabwean jurisprudence. The contrast could not be more deliberate if a film director had scripted it. And the symbolism continues. With Mnangagwa absent from the country, Chiwenga is expected to represent Zimbabwe at the state funeral of former Botswana President Festus Mogae, scheduled for Saturday, May 16th in Gaborone. Mogae who served as Botswana's third president from 1998 to 2008. Died on May 8th, aged 86, and will be buried at the Pomolong Memorial Park in Pakalane. The region's heads of state will be there. The continent's diplomatic community will be there. And Zimbabwe will be represented not by its president, but by General Chiwenga. Think about what that means for optics. Think about what it means for the region's understanding of who is actually steering this country right now. When every neighboring head of state shakes Chiwenga's hand in Gaborone this Saturday, they are not just offering condolences for a departed statesman. They are taking stock. They are updating their calculations, and what they are calculating is something that every political analyst in Southern Africa is already discussing openly. The transition in Zimbabwe has already begun. Zimbabwe, why Festus Mogae matters to this moment? We pause briefly to honor a man who deserves more than a footnote in this broadcast. Festus Mogae was Botswana's third president, and he is widely credited for strengthening the nation's economic management and governance systems during a period of rapid growth fueled by diamond revenues. He is perhaps most remembered for his courageous and open response to the HIV/AIDS epidemic. At the height of the crisis, Botswana had one of the world's highest infection rates, and under his leadership, the country launched an ambitious, government-funded antiretroviral treatment program that dramatically reduced infection and mortality rates. In 2008, Mogae was awarded the Mo Ibrahim Prize for Achievement in African Leadership, one of the continent's most prestigious honors. specifically recognizing his democratic leadership and orderly transfer of power. He retired after the maximum 2 terms allowed by the Botswana constitution and was succeeded by his vice president in a smooth, peaceful transition. Let that land. A man who served his constitutional term limit, handed over power peacefully, and won the continent's most prestigious governance award for doing exactly that, is being buried this Saturday in Gaborone. And in Harare, Zimbabwe, at this exact same moment, there is a president trying to extend his own term, bypass direct elections, and push for the constitution aside so he can stay in power until 2030, 2023 or 2033 or beyond. The comparison writes itself, and we suspect it is not lost on anyone who will be standing in that Gaborone cemetery on Saturday morning. Right. The question, the health question, what the political class is saying. Now, we must address the elephant in the room. The question that has been circulating in Zimbabwe's political circles for months and that has now exploded into open public discuss, the question of Emmerson Mnangagwa's health. We, at the Mtapa Times, will be responsible and clear. No medical records have been independently verified. No official diagnosis has been confirmed. What we can tell you is that serious political figures, people with access to State House, people who have observed the president at close quarters, have made increasingly alarming public claims about his cognitive condition. War veteran and former ZANU-PF Central Committee member, the late Blessed Geza, made a national address in which he detailed specific incidents where Mnangagwa appeared disoriented and displayed significant memory lapses. Geza cited one incident at the inauguration of new Army Commander Sanyato at State House, where Mnangagwa reportedly failed to recognize his long-time ally July Moyo. This is very important, so we have to go back. Right, asking who is this man and where is he from and what does he do? Geza alleged that individuals close to the president are taking advantage of his condition, manipulating him to sign documents and make governmental changes for their benefit, with frequent visits to the president's residence for document signings having raised suspicions. These are explosive allegations. They come not from the former opposition, but from a war veteran and former ZANU-PF insider. Someone with no electoral motive to fabricate a story, but with genuine proximity to the people and the processes at the very top of the state. And here is where it connects to everything else on this broadcast. If there is even a fraction of truth to the claim that the men around Mnangagwa, the Tagwireis, the Chivayos, the business-connected insiders who have accumulated staggering wealth through state contracts, are using a politically and physically weakened men to sign away national resources, then Zimbabwe does not just have a constitutional crisis. It has a governance emergency. Zimbabwe. Geza announced that parliamentarians had agreed to commence impeachment proceedings against Mnangagwa. But zvaizvezvi pane zviri kuitika mhuri yezimbabwe takaona comrade Knox Chiwenga vachitaura, but kana muchidza kuti maparliamentarians akatobvumirana zvirova kuti vakangomirira the conditions. Right, let's talk about the Tagwire and Chivayo question. Where did the money go? Let us not shy away from the names that keep appearing in every conversation about state capture and national looting. Kuda Tagwire and Wikno Chivayo, two businessmen whose proximity to state houses made them objects of intense public scrutiny, deep suspicion, and multiple credible accusations of corruption. The road contract allegation is one that Zimbabwe cannot afford to ignore. Billions of dollars allocated for infrastructure. Roads that either do not exist, deteriorate rapidly after construction, or simply disappear into the fog of no-bid tenders and political patronage networks. If a man is suffering from cognitive decline and the people around him are using that decline to push contracts through without proper oversight, the nation has been robbed, not by an enemy, by its own inner circle. This is the route that Chiwenga's supporters say he is positioned to exercise. This is the capture that the third Chimurenga rhetoric is directed at. And this is why the transition from Mnangagwa to whatever comes next is not merely a factional succession battle. It is for millions of ordinary Zimbabweans who have watched their country's wealth evaporate while a small network of insiders got obscenely rich, a matter of basic justice. Right. The Chiwenga blueprint, what a new government must do. Family, let us speak plainly about what Zimbabwe actually needs, regardless of who ends up leading it. This country needs a government that pays its teachers properly, that pays its nurses, that pays the police officers and the soldiers who maintain order and security on starvation wages. That funds a healthcare system that does not send patients home because there are no medicines. That builds roads that survive 2 rainy seasons. That manages the gold, the diamonds, the lithium, and the platinum on behalf of the people, not on behalf of a connected few. Oh, these are not radical demands. They are the minimum expectations any citizen should have of their state. And they are precisely the demands that the current configuration of power in Zimbabwe has failed to meet. Year after year, election after election, promises after promises. Whether it is Chiwenga who delivers this, or whether it is a new political architecture entirely, the standard must be set. And anyone who claims the right to lead Zimbabwe in what comes next must be held to it. No more rhetoric, no more slogans, no more new dispensation and Second Republic language that amounts to nothing but a rebrand of the same extraction machine. Right. The generals, the intelligence services, the civil society organizations, the Catholic bishops, the war veterans, the courts, the opposition lawyers, and the millions of ordinary Zimbabweans who took time off work to submit written objections to CAP 3. All of them are saying the same thing in different languages. Enough. It is time for something real. Right? The bottom line, mark this week in your history books. May 14th, May 15th, NAS, 2026 will be remembered. Not because, but May 14th will be remembered. Not because it is the date something exploded, but because it is the date when the pieces moved into their final positions. Chiwenga, visible, sharp, in Harare, representing the state at home and preparing to represent it abroad. Mnangagwa, absent, expensive, wrapped in secrets and $500,000 jet charters and unanswered questions about gold reserves and health conditions and family members who have quietly left the country. CAP 3 Zimbabwe, adjourned, legally challenged, fighting for its life in the Constitutional Court before a 7-judge bench on May 20th. Parliament locked until June 2nd at the earliest, and a nation holding its breath, watching every move, every image, every absence, and every appearance with the eyes of people who understand that the decisions made in these next few weeks will determine the shape of their country for the next decade. Tina Festus Mogae, a man who served his constitutional limits, transferred power peacefully, and won the Ibrahim Prize, will be buried in Gaborone tomorrow. At the graveside, Constantino Chiwenga will stand as Zimbabwe's representative. He will shake hands with men who respect constitutional order, democratic transitions, and leaders who know when their time is up. What he does with what he learns in that cemetery is the most important thing Zimbabwe is watching right now. Right, Pano, Pamzinda Wabano will be here for every moment that follows. Subscribe on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Follow us on Facebook. We are Zimbabwe's most unapologetic political voice. Do you think the transition is already happening? Is Chiwenga truly ready to lead? Drop your hottest take in the comments below. Smash the like button. Share this broadcast. Zimbabwe needs this conversation. Support independent journalism through Join and Super Thanks. We are going the distance with you, family, every single time. Thank you for watching.